This is reflections on the plane, and that is not reflections on an airplane. It is a plane, which is just a flat surface. So I had somebody ask me that question, wanted to make sure to clarify, and we're on page 18. I just have this post-it to help me flip back and forth. That's all it's for. You guys know I don't like reading through all of these pages or all of these things. So all I want you to do is go to the reflections mat that's on page 28, which is right there. So we are going to get patty paper. And yes, I'm just reusing one that I had. Please make sure when you place your patty paper that you can see the blue line, the green line, and the red line through it. If you don't, it's going to make your job a little bit harder in a minute. So we are going to reflect all of these. So again, I'm just marking on patty paper, and I'm going to write A, B, C, and D. Remember, this is the pre-image. I don't know why I wrote it on the patty paper. I should have written it right here. So pre-image. And I'm going to try to erase that just so it doesn't confuse us. Try to be very gentle when you erase on patty paper. Something I want you to also do is go in the back of your patty paper in your pencil or marker or whatever you're using, and mark those points. And the reason we do that is because whenever we move, it kind of transfers off. So we are going to flip. So yes, it already told us the word reflection, so we know what the definition is going to end up being. But right now, the only word we know is flip, and then we will learn the vocabulary word reflection in just a minute. So we have A, B, C, D. Notice this is called L1, so they're calling that line 1. This is called L2, which is line 2. And this one's called L3, which is line 3. I personally think that that one's the hardest one to do, so I'm going to start with the easier one. So first thing I want you to do, and mine's still in my book, yours is probably in your folder, so you don't have to deal with this big thing right here, but so we're going to mark line 2, so L2. Okay? So if we are going to flip, because that's the word that we've learned so far, is flip. So we're going to take our pre-image and we're going to flip it over that. So what you're going to do is if we're flipping it over this line, thinking of it as like this is our mirror. So we're going to take our line, and instead of this being on the left, we're going to flip it over and make it on the right. So we're going to mark that. And then you're going to mark these points. And they should have kind of transferred through. It's not going to be perfect, but so there's one right there. Notice that's point A. So what do we call it when it's the new A? Well, it's going to be A prime. This one down here, let's mark it a little bit more, see if we can get it. And this one's going to be our B prime. This one is our C prime. And even if you stab a hole in your paper, like you just keep marking it and you can eventually get a hole in it, that works too. So then there's D prime. Okay, I'm going to get a ruler. Sorry, that was loud. I'm going to get a ruler and just mark those. If you just have a straight edge or if you borrow a ruler, that works. And it kind of stinks when you're doing it in the book because it folds on you, but that's okay. All right, so there is A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. Okay, so we flipped that over this line. So now let's do the same thing, and we're going to flip it over this line. So we're going to go to line 3 because, again, I want to leave the diagonal one to the end. So this is line 3. Okay, so again, if I want to reflect it and we're thinking about this is our mirror, there's a mirror right here, I'm going to take it and flip it straight over. Do you see how it's kind of a mirror image? Not kind of, it is a mirror image. The A drops straight below, the B drops straight below, and D and C, all of that. So again, mark your points. Let's see how well it marked through that time. So there's A double prime, so I can see I'm dropping this A double prime straight down. This B, that's that little point that's marked there. That's B double prime, because it's the second one. So this was our first one we flipped. This one's our second one we flipped. This one's D double prime and C double prime. Okay, you're going to mark the trapezoid, or draw the trapezoid. Okay, and this one's our second. So again, I want to look at something, because this is where I think students get confused with reflections. So B is this way, so it's to the left, now it moves to the right. If we go to this line, B is above, so now it needs to go below the line. So that's what we mean by a mirror image. All right, last flip, sorry, I keep saying that word out of habit. So now we're going to flip it over this line. So this one's a little bit harder, and this is why I did this one next. So there we go. Try to get that line to line up as straight as possible. There we go. You're going to mark, 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 mark. And I don't know if you noticed this, but I kind of just keep flipping up one side of the paper and then putting it back down. So that's A. Notice that was the first new A. That's the second new A. So this is our third. So it's actually triple prime, not Optimus Prime. Oh, sorry, that makes me seem like I'm old. D, C triple prime, and B triple prime. Okay. So notice we have where we took this pre-image and went this way, and now that way. Okay. So what I want to look at now, and again, all of these steps, if you really, really wanted to read them, it says verify, align, all of that. Trace it. We're doing that, but I just don't like reading those steps because I think it's a lot. So I'm going to measure this in centimeters. I'm going to put my hand under this. So if you notice, it's on the 0 mark. So see where it says start here, except for somebody broke it. So we're starting at 0. And if you notice, it's 2 centimeters away. So it was 2 centimeters to the left. Watch what we're going to do now. Start here, put it on the red line. Notice it's 2 centimeters to the right. Sorry, I have a tickle in my throat all of a sudden. So then I'm going to mark that. So this was 2 centimeters. This is 2 centimeters. Sorry, had to get a drink of water. Okay, now we're going to do it again. We're going to do it up at the top. C to C prime. Notice this line that we flipped it over should be halfway. Because if I'm 2 centimeters to the left, then I'm going to have to be 2 centimeters to the right. Okay, let's just look at D. So if we look at D, it's almost 4, it's just a little bit less. And oh yeah, that's almost 4, just a little bit less. Let's check A. So again, I'm starting here and I'm checking all the way to this line. That's 5.5 or 5.5, and that one is about 5.5. So just know that it's reflected across. All right, so now we are going to write some notes. I'm going to go over here and just point it out so that you can see where it's coming from the book. So this type of movement of a plane containing a figure is a reflection. So when you're looking in the mirror, you're looking at a reflection. A reflection is a rigid motion transformation that flips a figure across a line. A line of reflection is a line that acts as a mirror. So that's what we were doing, is we were using it as a mirror. So in your notebook, gotta get to the correct page in my notebook. And yes, I'm starting a new page just because I write so big. So it is a reflection, is a rigid transformation that flips. Oops, I should have zoomed in. I apologize about that. Let me zoom in now. Flips a figure over a line. And we're going to use the letter E. So if I put the letter E here and I want to reflect it over this line, it will now look, that's kind of the best I could get, my bad. Some of the line is a little bit too big. So if I reflect the letter E, it's just going to be a backwards letter E. Okay? This is called the line of reflection. It's the line used to reflect an image over. Okay, sorry, I had to move my paper. I don't want to miss a part of it. Okay. All corresponding points were the same distance from the line. So what I mean by that is when you look at page 28, and I'm having to flip back to it, B corresponds to B prime. It's the same letter, it's the same location. Sometimes they'll change the letters, but the B and the B line up, they're corresponding. They're 2 centimeters away from the line of reflection, so they're 2 centimeters away. Both of them are the same distance. So if you, let's just do the letter P. So if I reflect the letter P, that's kind of difficult, my bad. This distance has to be the same. Same distance. Okay, so both of those are the same distance apart. Okay, so let's make sure that we answered everything. So what stayed the same? Did the shape get bigger? So if we look at page 28, so I'm answering the questions on page 20, but did the shape get bigger or smaller? Well, no, the shape stayed the same size. Do you remember what we call that in our vocabulary words? Congruent. So they're the same shape. It's not bigger, it just got flipped over. So they stayed the same. It's just the order of the points, I guess you could say, changed. If you started at the top, and worked your way around. This one starts at D, C, B, A. This one says C, D, A, B. So it goes in an opposite order. So really that's what changes, is just the way that the shape is appearing.